Welcome back. All right, so this is interesting. I saw a request to make a video on Mike Modano in the comments under the last Hall of Famer that I did a video on. And I thought, well, I've done a video on Modano before. I've got my Mike Modano jersey. I've done a video on Modano before. Nope. Look through the channel, I'm like, no, there's nothing here, dude. So it's interesting because when this jersey came out, when this reverse retro came out, and of course everybody, myself included, piled on it about how bland it was and everything. But the reality is, with the name and number on it, looks nice. So I was like, all right, well, who would I want on it? It's got to be Modano. The era that this jersey harkens back to, it has to be Modano, right? So Mike Modano, the #1 pick by the Minnesota North Stars in 1988. And the Minnesota North Stars, a team that was starting to have some problems. You know, as a North Stars fan, it was frustrating to watch this era, but Modano was great. Born in Livonia, Michigan, and eventually he would want to play in Michigan, and we can have that debate when we get to that part of the video, right? He is the all-time leader in goals and points by U.S.-born players. He is also the all-time leader in playoff points among U.S.-born players. No-brainer for the Hall of Fame. And yet, the interesting thing with Modano is he was never dominant. There wasn't really a time where you go, man, it's the era of Mike Modano here. He was just very good, solid, regular contributor you could count on. So, his first appearance in the NHL is 88-89, the year he's drafted. He actually ends up playing 2 playoff games for the Minnesota North Stars. Doesn't get points, but, you know, valuable experience. So his rookie season, 89-90, 80 games played, 29 goals, 46 assists, 75 points. He's on the all-rookie team, and he is second in voting for the Calder Trophy. 7 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. The sky's the limit for Modano. However, sophomore jinx, right? 79 games the following season, 28 goals, 36 assists, 64 points. So the expectation was things would get better, and they don't. But in the playoffs that year, Minnesota, who underachieved badly that year, they get red hot in the playoffs. You know, a team that doesn't really belong there ends up saying, you know what, while we're here, we might as well do something. He ends up playing 23 games in the playoffs, 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points. Played very, very well. Huge experience boost for Mike Modano. And eventually he would get back to the Stanley Cup final and get himself that victory. So for Modano, going into year 3, he's now got that experience. The North Stars, the expectations were a little higher. But the team on the ice, it just doesn't work. So 76 games for him in his third year. 33 goals, 44 assists, 77 points. In the playoffs, 7 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. But by 91-92, rumors of maybe Minnesota gets relocated have started to swirl. And they're getting louder and louder. The 92-93 season, it was deafening. It was deafening. The Minnesota North Stars changed their branding from that to more of the stars that we have on the Dallas jerseys here. So they made that change in the logo while they're still in Minnesota. Not even trying to hide the fact that they're planning to leave Minnesota. Taking the N off of there was really a sign of, so they're the Stars now, are they? And of course, when they were moving to Texas, the first thought people had was, are they going to be the Lone Stars? I know I had that thought myself. Are they going from North Stars to Lone Stars? And they didn't. But in and amongst all of that talk about moving and all of the upset that followed for Minnesota, Modano had a very good season for a team that didn't have a very good season. 82 games, 33 goals, 60 assists, 93 points. So he comes into his own. And then he and the rest of the Dallas Stars are moved to Dallas to become the Dallas Stars. So the colors stay almost identical to what they were in Minnesota, right? So they said they did make that change before they moved, and shortly after they moved, they made some minor changes. I've done the video on their jersey history and how the minor changes took place, and eventually it leads to where we're at now with the Dallas jersey. But he changes over to Dallas, and he has a great year. 76 games, 50 goals, which was 8th in the NHL that year, 43 assists, 93 points. So it is his only 50-goal season in his career. In the playoffs, 9 games played, 7 goals, 3 assists for 10 points. So it is interesting that Mike Modano only had one 50-goal season in his career when you consider how many goals he scored. He was a very good goal scorer, very consistent, just didn't stay at that 50-goal mark consistently. 94-95, lockout shortened season, but he doesn't play every game. He only plays 30. 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points. So almost a point a game. 95-96, 78 games, 36 goals, 45 assists, 81 points. And again, Dallas is still finding themselves. And in the playoffs, there's that mixed bag in the playoffs for the Dallas Stars, right? So 96-97, 80 games played, 35 goals, 48 assists, 83 points. He ends up 7th. 7th in Hart voting that year. He ends up 4th in Selke voting. So one thing about Modano is he's remembered for his goal scoring, but he was a very good two-way forward. He was very capable defensively for the Dallas Stars. 7 games played in the playoffs that year, 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points. 97-98, he gets into the most games he'd had since 90-91 in the playoffs. 97-98, plays 52 games during the regular season, 21 goals, 38 assists, 59 points. But in the playoffs, he plays 17 games, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points. So his points per game in 97-98 is excellent. He just missed a lot of games due to injury. 98-99, plays 77 games, 34 goals, 47 assists, 81 points. But this is the big year, right? Plays all 23 games in the playoffs, 5 goals, 18 assists, 23 points. Stanley Cup victory for team captain Mike Modano. And that Dallas Stars team, it was a very well put together team, as they showed in 99-2000, where he had 77 games, 38 goals, which was 8th in goal scoring that year, 43 assists, 81 points. He's a second team All-Star that year. So second team at center in the playoffs, 23 games again. This time, however, Dallas loses to the New Jersey Devils in the Stanley Cup final. 10 goals, 13 assists from Modano. So again, very consistent. Point per game in 99, point per game in 2000, 46 points in 46 games. Very consistent player. 2000-2001, 81 games, 33 goals, 51 assists, 84 points. You can set your watch by him. Very, very... It kind of reminds me of what we see with Scheifele now in the NHL, although defensively, Modano would be ahead of Scheifele if you're looking at all-around players. And that year, 3rd in Selke voting for Mike Modano. So he was a finalist for the Selke. In the playoffs, 9 games, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. 2001-2002, 78 games, 34 goals, 43 assists, 77 points. Just so reliable. So very, very reliable. And even though he's gotten older at this point, the reliability is still there. That year and the year after, 2002-2003, 79 games, 28 goals, 57 assists for 85 points. So the goals drop a little bit here and there. The assists go up. The points are still very consistent. In the playoffs, 12 games played, 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. Not much more you can ask from Mike Modano. And it's one reason that he was very much beloved amongst Dallas Stars fans, of course. He was part of what popularized, really a major part of what popularized hockey in Texas. When Dallas gets there, they win a cup, and they've got an American leading them, their captain, Modano. And that also leads over into some more popularity in the southern U.S. from Modano. So it's not like Gretzky levels, clearly, but Modano, being successful with Dallas, definitely helped boost that team's popularity in Texas. So 2003-2004, the last year before the lockout wiped out season. And his offense drops big time. 76 games, 14 goals, 30 assists, 44 points. In the playoffs, just the 5 games played, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. So 04-05 is wiped out. He's one of those players that seem to be helped by that he comes back rejuvenated 05-06. 78 games, 27 goals, 50 assists for 77 points. He's back to about a point per game. In the playoffs, 5 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. So Dallas is no longer a Stanley Cup contender, but Modano is still producing pretty well. But much like there were other players too that in that year after the lockout wiped out season, they had a boost. A lot of them fell off the year after. He is amongst those players. 06-07, 59 games, 22 goals. So his goal scoring was very good. 21 assists, 43 points. So his points per game dropped. His goals stayed right about the same. In the playoffs, 7 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in the series against the Vancouver Canucks, which was a very good defensive series by both teams. And it was a shame that series had to end. But eventually, that's the way that works. 2007, 2008, 82 games. Again, 21 goals. So this is his last 20-goal season. 36 assists, 57 points. In the playoffs, bit of a run for Dallas. 18 games, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points for the Dallas Stars. So one last playoff run for Mike Modano. 2008, 2009, 80 games, 15 goals, 31 assists, 46 points. And it's clear. The offense is in decline at this stage for Modano. That continues in 2009, 2010, where he only plays 59 games, 14 goals. So the goal scoring actually wasn't worse off than the season before, but he ends up with 16 assists and 30 points overall. So Dallas and Modano, that ends right there. That's it. And it's criminal. And I thought it was criminal at the time. I still think it's criminal now. And he decides August 5th of 2010 he's going to sign in Dallas, which is why I have the angry-looking octopus instead of the regular Dallas logo, because it didn't go Detroit logo, because it didn't go that well in Detroit. 40 games played, 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points. In the playoffs, he plays 2 games, he has 1 assist. What stands out is he ends up with 1,499 games played, when we all know it's his last season. Mike Babcock wouldn't give him that 1,500th game, would not put him on the ice. And whether you agree with it or you disagree with it, in hindsight, it doesn't look great for Mike Babcock. And when Babcock was sent away by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and all of the things that had happened in the Toronto organization under Babcock's control came to light, people started reflecting back on this. People started reflecting back on the fact that Mike Modano was 1 game away from 1,500 played, and Babcock wouldn't let him have it. Now, September 23rd of 2011, in order to retire as a Dallas Star, Modano signs the 1-day contract. And again, shows he should have finished his career as a Dallas Star. It doesn't look right that he played in Detroit. I understand, home team and wanting to play at home, but it just didn't work. So he retires with 1,499 games played, which is 22nd on the overall list. 561 goals, which is 26th all-time, leads American-born players. 813 assists, which is 30th all-time. 1,374 points, which is 24th all-time. Again, most by a U.S.-born player. And in 2014, he goes to the Hall of Fame, and Dallas retires the number 9. So the number 9 you see here, you won't see it again on the ice for the Dallas Stars. And really, in all honesty, Modano's career, it is remarkable in its consistency, and that somebody who scored 561 goals is also nominated for Selkes, and is seen as a really good defensive forward as well. Sometimes underrated. Sometimes I thought, I don't want to say sometimes overrated, but I thought sometimes there was too much pressure on him. But he responded to that pressure very well. And he has been used since his retirement as an ambassador by both the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild, because of course he starts out with the Minnesota North Stars organization, and he has a soft spot for the state of Arizona, or for the soft spot for the state of Minnesota as well. So yeah, easy for me to say, right? So there you go, Mike Modano, number 1 pick from 1988. A video I was sure I did until I looked and found out I didn't. So all right, there you go. Yeah, and again, when I got this, when I put a name and number on this, I was like, it has to be Modano. It just has to be Modano. That was the only choice. It was the only other one I kind of have thought about was Broughton, but Neil Broughton didn't play in Dallas long enough for me to make that work. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.